I'm here with Abe Dinkus right now, the one and only Abe Dinkus, you know.
Well, hello, welcome in.
Hello.
Mo, how the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. I'm eager to kind of get into this and do, a little recap and go over the argumentation because I think this is something that is going to be discussed more in the near future. And I think we can convince some people.
I agree with you. I think this topic is, I think it's kind of prescient. I think as we move out of the feels leftist type world that we were living in for a while, and towards a more conservative value-based society, I think things like empathy or the way that empathy is used is going to fall away.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's once people realize the history of it and kind of where it came from, and especially how it's used in psychology. I think that's a big part for me. As I mentioned before, I think once we get into this a little bit, I would say a killer argument for it that lands pretty hard, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I saw you said that in the chat the other day, and it got my interest piqued a little bit because I had sat down and wrote out quite a bit for that debate that I had against Teriak, and I figured he was going to come at me with the ancient Greeks and the word's origin, because that's usually what he does. He often goes to the Greek heritage of the word and the original meaning, and I was like, okay, I'm going to add that into my opening statement. But I felt like my opening statement was pretty encapsulating, to the point where even though he thought he was pulling the wool over, he was actually trapping himself repeatedly without realizing it, because I had already laid out, even if the Greek thing was more of a red herring, that he still chased, even though he didn't bring that up in the debate. I think that what happened is he missed a whole bunch of other stuff that I said in my opening because he was so focused on the fact that I brought up the ancient Greek. And so he got stuck on that and didn't realize, he actually argued against what I'm stating now prior to even arguing with me.
Yeah, I didn't catch the full debate, but I saw your opening and I saw a little bit of the middle. And obviously I joined the after panel, which all chaos broke loose after I did that. So that was fun and interesting to do. But yeah, I guess for everyone listening, maybe we should just do kind of a quick recap of the history of the word. Just kind of bring up speed if they're not aware, or they're just kind of hearing this argument for the first time. But so the empathy, the word as we have it today, it actually was coined in the 1900s, in 1909, by a guy named Edward B. Thatcher. And it originally came from a German word that the meaning means to feel into. So the reason this guy, Edward, coined this word is because he was a psychologist and he was dabbling with art students. And he was literally getting them to stand around and pretend what it feels like to be inanimate objects like art. Like, oh, this is what it feels like to be the Mona Lisa. Or, oh, this is what it feels like to be a pillar. Yeah, I feel so strong and stiff. It was just this kind of nonsense, right? So from there, you go into like the 1930s era. It moves from art to human perception. And then a little after that, 60s, it gets changed a little bit again to entering one's personal emotional frame of reference, right? And even to this day, if you go, there are quite a few definitions for it that are worded slightly different. But I'll just bring up, let me see, I'm going to bring up the Webster dictionary, because if you look it up in Webster, it gives you a description, but if you scroll down, it says sympathy is a feeling of sincere concern. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's wrong. Sympathy and empathy are both refer to a caring response to emotional state of another person, but distinction between them is typically made while sympathy is feeling of sincere concern for someone who is experiencing something difficult or painful. Empathy involves actively sharing in the emotional experience of another person. So that's actually a much more, I would say, grounded than what it started out from. But even the act of sharing, like how do you share in someone else's emotional state? That's really where the problem is, because we don't have access to each other's emotional states or what we're thinking. So we can't share in something we don't have access to. And I've heard different arguments that even came up in the panel where it was, well, they were trying to make a correlation between sharing like a salad or something. It's like, okay, but I have access to that food. I can walk up to it. I can pick it up, right? So that's not the same thing as sharing someone else's emotional state. A less charitable description is if you just type it into Google, it comes up with the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Oh no, sorry, that's what I just read. So that's the same thing. But point being, however you want to slice it, the definition invokes this almost woo-woo thing where you have to somehow have access to another person's emotional state in order to feel what they're feeling.
Right. That always bugged me. That's partially where my biggest hang up is because even if you took two people, even if they were two people who love each other, you cannot say that them sharing in that love is the same for both people. It's not the same effect, the same feeling. You can't even know that they're having the same biochemical reaction as one another. Like, it's not even... So...
Yeah, you can even break it down to, okay, you could make... They would... This is what... So, the description I gave you is what I refer to as the strong version of empathy, right? Mm-hmm. So, when people discuss it, they'll try to lessen it to some degree and break it down. Well, no, maybe it's just your kind of you can relate or something else. They water it down to some other definition that takes away from the original meaning of the word in order to make sense of it. So, but even on that level, okay, someone burns themselves and you've burned yourself before. You still don't know exactly what they're feeling. You don't have access to that feeling. You talk about pain tolerance, skin thickness or ligaments, all this other stuff plays into what exactly they're feeling. You don't really know. Now you can sympathize with them, you can have compassion for what they're dealing with, but those are different words, and those are, in my opinion, better descriptive words because it doesn't have this woo-woo effect to it, and doesn't make any logical sense, in my opinion. Well,
and concern is already built into the definition of sympathy. Like, there's already the concern connotation there. And if that's the case, then what actually is the difference? And everybody kept bringing up, well, sympathy is like knowing how they feel or knowing that they feel a way and then ignoring it. But nowhere in sympathy is there some cold ignoring of the other person. It denotes that there's concern involved.
Yeah, that was something that I found interesting too. They kept trying to make it the word sympathy out to be this almost disattached thing. Yeah, and I don't know how you have concern for someone that you're just completely indifferent to, and so I don't think that tracks. So that was a weird argument, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were trying to take sympathy and turn it into false sympathy and say that it is that always. And it's like that. Right. Sorry, that doesn't make sense, guys.
Yeah, no, it's bad argumentation, in my opinion. You can also look at... so one thing I wanted to bring up in this that is interesting is the role that empathy has played in psychology, right? Yeah. And so it's pretty interesting because they use that to justify all kind of things. So, you go through the origin of the word, that's nutty. But then when it goes into the psychology realm, it is used in, became a central to psychology during like the mid 20th century, and it really took a place in therapy. So, Rogers argued empathy was one of the 3 core conditions for effective therapy: empathy, unconditional positive regard, and all this other stuff. Carl Rogers, he was in the 1950s and 60s. Then you go into the institutionalization of psychology research. So 1970s, they developed psychology, moral, social, cognitive therapy, things like that. Then we get to more present day. And this is where this kind of leads into my argument, that killer argument I was referencing earlier. So the role in gender and identity research. So empathy is used to justify affirming a patient's reported internal identity and emotional state. So empathy becomes a central concept in a social and clinical psychology, and is now widely used to in identifying base therapeutic frameworks for including research in gender dysphoria, where clinicians are encouraged to approach patients' reported internal experience as being real and true. So, and you can look at lots of other fields in psychology, even when they talk about, mapping things onto the brain and things like that. Oh, this part of the brain is empathy, and they just label it, right? So it is very much embedded into psychology, and it's also embedded itself into our just society in general. So many people have this very strong attachment to this word.
Common parlance. It's so bad because I feel like what it did is it wormed its way into the culture, and then once it did that, people became attached to it, not because it's true, but because it's some level of virtue added, right? Like, and that's not to say that everyone who uses it is virtue signaling, but there's a certain level of you are virtuous because you have empathy. And so long as people have empathy, there's virtue there. And it's like, I don't think that that's the case. You could have empathy for all kinds of things according to the psychology. So
right. Yeah, it's kind of wild. It's definitely got its teeth into society, and people are clung to this because they've been taught, I would say, through propaganda, over the years that, you need to have empathy. And how much does this come up in even the political space? How do you don't have any empathy for these poor illegals coming across the border and this and that, right? It's used as a weapon to where, to your point, if you don't have it, then you're some kind of monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's used as a pejorative. Like if you don't believe that there is empathy, or you don't have empathy as it's denoted by them, then you are a bad person. Yeah. Automatically. Yeah. What's funny too, Mo, I don't know if you found this in your research, but like the original word from Greek, which I argued against in my opening so that he didn't bring it up, was empathia. And empathia was frowned upon in Greece. And the reason it was frowned upon is it was seen more as a social contagion. Like when somebody's really angry and that anger carries over to others, or that person is vengeful and it carries over to others and it causes damage to the society. So it was super frowned upon. And there was literally little laws in place to keep that kind of stuff from happening.
So they viewed it as a mind virus, basically.
Yes.
That's funny. That's funny. It's appropriate, I would argue. Definitely. So I guess let me put this out here. I guess let me spill the beans of what I think is good argumentation. Okay, so we can start with the structure first. Define empathy with someone, and get them to agree. Okay, is it the ability to feel or experience or share with another person what another person feels? I think most people would agree to that. That's a definition, because a lot of people seem to be okay with the word share, right? Mm-hmm. Which I would say this is a a downgrade from what I would call strong empathy, which is more of like what the original meaning. Yeah.
Right.
So get them to agree to that. Okay, great. So then you establish, okay, so internal states can be known or shared without direct personal experience or state. So you don't have a reference for it that you can go to. You don't have access to it, but you can still, share in this. Logical. I think most people would agree. Yeah, okay, that's great. So now, okay, we have to apply this to gender dysphoria. Okay? Because the common argument on the conservative side is you don't know what it means to be a woman because you've never been to one. You don't have a reference for it. So if that's true, if that's the argument you're going to hold, then you're in a P and not P contradiction. So P1 would be, if empathy is real, then a person can know or share another person's internal experience without having that experience themselves. P2, critics of transgender identity claims a person cannot know what it feels like to be a woman without being a woman. So, okay, so anytime a conservative, if they are dead set on using empathy, even in what I would say a lesser version of empathy, definitionally, you cannot really argue against transgenders anymore because they can just know what it feels like to be a woman. They don't have a reference, but they can empathize with it, so they know.
It's imagination land.
Yeah.
It's literally the acceptance that P can be P and not P at the same time, and that's okay.
It's a P not P contradiction. So it's not a consistent worldview, and I think if we bring this up and argue this way, we can kind of convince others to really examine this, because I feel like that's a very strong argument to this made up word of empathy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's what I came up with. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see any holes?
I mean, I think people could try to argue out of it and try to create a solution where it's not equivalent to P and not P. But I don't know how you could do that if it's possible for it to be P and not P, right? So long as it can fall into that boat, then it's completely falsifiable. And it's at that point it's worthless because you don't actually know if it's happening.
Right. Yeah, the only thing I could really think of is they would have to basically approach it in a way where they water down empathy even further. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is if they do that, then they're getting into territories where another word like compassion or sympathy is a far better descriptor.
Well, and that's always been my issue, right? It's sympathy, and sympathy already has concern in it. So understanding and care are just existing things. You don't have to create a new thing. You have sympathy and understanding, so you help. You don't need this empathy thing where you're in it with them.
Right.
Like you don't have to be in it to care. Yeah.
You don't have to. You have an exact understanding or knowledge of or referent to what they're going through to sympathize or have concern for them or love or any of these other emotions that can be invoked through whatever the situation is.
Right.
Yeah. This. Like I said, I don't know of any other way around it other than just watering down the original word of empathy to use some sort of mental gymnastics.
Yeah. Which I think the word is in its very origin already mental gymnastics or linguistic gymnastics.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You don't want to sit around and pretend what it feels like to be a pillar.
It's casting yourself into the art. It actually falls into Ash. This. It falls into this realm of inspired, which inspiration is in spirit, and it has all of these connotations to the witchy world, right? Like I'm going to project my spirit into this thing, and it's like that is gross.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, it does have vibes of astral projection in it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Take your Gorilla Biscuits for the big 2. And
Gorilla.
thank you also, Kyler and Emil for the 2. Oh, Gorilla did 5, I think, actually. Yes, thank you. And thank you for the membership. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's why I've always viewed it as like a more woo-woo thing, because there's this level of not the same and claiming the same. It is that P not P issue in my head. You can't be having the same emotions because you don't have the exact referential, and you don't have the same brain, and you don't all these things that fit together to create the experience that person is having. That
Right.
you would be required to also exhibit all of those exact same things in order for that to happen.
Yeah, it's for me it did come to like a philosophy problem where it's like you're looking at the way it's being used and understanding the history of the word and trying to make it work logically just didn't make a whole lot of sense for me. And I've had this conversation with others too in the past briefly, and it was on a completely different panel a while back, and it wasn't received with the same I don't know what you want to call it, aggression as it was this last time. But just discussing it then, I was like, there's something here. Like a lot of people, they use this. It's embedded so much in psychology. They use it to justify all kind of nonsense. I don't think they're really aware of the effect in psychology it has, and also just in society in general, to your point, where, people, you either have empathy or you don't, and it's used all the time to beat you over the head with it.
Well, and the spin-off of it was like all the other movements, right? I'm an empath, and all of these things came from that denotation of the word in 1905 or 1900s, and it's just spun from that point forward. We just see it growing in this weird amalgam of everything psychic falls into this basket.
That's actually a good. I forgot about the empaths. That's next level empathy. That's where you're just like some sort of like superhero version of empathy, where you can a heightened sense. So it's even more. An empath is someone who has a heightened ability to understand and feel others' emotions. So they're a super empathy person. Maybe you get that award whenever you have so much empathy. You go super empathy.
Yeah, it's freaking weird. But
yeah, man,
you see it way too often now. Like I hear people claim that they're an empath all the time, and it's like, okay, I get that maybe you're more attuned to the patterns of people's emotions and behavior. That does not mean that you're in their emotions.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a weird thing.
Yeah, so that would be something along the lines of like, so empathy, they would kind of go into the argument of empathy just means approximating someone's feelings. Well, that just boils down to perspective taking or imaginative projection or something along those lines.
Right.
Doesn't require this other word that they're so dead set on using and not letting go of.
Well, and it would be one thing if the word had a specific meaning, right? If the word was like, if the word had a meaning of empathy is sympathy and then taking extra action after the fact to help the person. If it was something like that, then I would buy the word. But the problem is it's not that. All it's doing is piggybacking off of sympathy, but putting the person who's feeling the emotions, who isn't actually in the situation, in the exact same shoes as the other person.
That's a good point too. Now that I think about it, empathy, the word itself, you look it up, it has all these different definitions. Even going through time, and even currently, there's like multiple definitions. There's not really a like really well defined where everyone agrees this is what it is. And I actually, when I was looking it up, doing research, I ran across statements of, well, empathy is still being debated of like what it even is and what it means, and so it's even its definition is just ambiguous and just this like nebulous thing that doesn't have an actual concrete meaning of what it is.
Yep. It's because it's all emotion based. And so long as it resides within the realm of emotions and psychology, you can utilize it however you see fit. I think that's the whole point of the word. Like, I think you create this wishy-washy emotional word that gives you some level of power and virtue in the world, and then you can fling it around every which way you want.
Yeah. They have a label that they can, prescribe to whatever they want. Even going back to even the brain mapping, like they even have it on there. Like, this is this part of your brain is for empathy. It's like, okay, so you've labeled it that, but it's this nebulous thing that you don't even know what it is, but that's what it is in the brain. Okay, great.
Well, and so one of the natural steps I've seen people do, Mo, is they go, "Oh, you don't believe in empathy because you don't care about people." And the fact is, it has nothing to do with that. Like, I do care about people. I do think that human beings deserve to be treated with dignity. I do. My issue is that you've created a word so that you can be selfish enough to claim that you are in the emotions of others, rather than just saying, I've been through some hard stuff too. I could understand how this is hard for you. It doesn't mean you're in their emotions with them. That's a ridiculous claim to make.
Yeah, that falls into like the same realm as like the leftists are like, oh, are you an ally? Are you an ally? Yep. You're not an ally? Well, then you're the other side. You're evil.
Yep.
It's this very polarizing definition that people try to find out if you are or if you're not, and if you're not, then you're the bad guy.
So
I got that too. I got that too, where they were come after me like, have a heart, Mo. It's like, I do have a heart.
Right.
Just because I don't like a word doesn't mean I'm like a cartoonish bad guy trying to put people on train tracks or something.
Right, exactly. And to Snizzler in the chat, I would say, look, you say sympathy has nothing to do with understanding, but the word concern is in sympathy. And concern would mean that you have some kind of investment in that person, in the other person's state. And with empathy, by no means has it ever been shown to me that you have to actually have an understanding of the situation of the other person. The claim that you're empathetic to others, even if you've never been through and have no claim to have understanding, you still have empathy somehow, even if you don't understand any of it. And that's one of the arguments that kept getting brought up is, well, they took the time to understand. They took the time to research. It's like, no, if empathy is an initial response, then why is that response there absent the understanding? It doesn't fit.
Yeah, and that's also, I find interesting. People have this really hard pushback on the word sympathy. Like it's like not valid, or they try to make it something that's not. I think even in the chat, he said sympathy is about pity. I don't think pity is in the definition of sympathy. I think that's two different words, but it is weird when you have actually better descriptive words that don't have any origins of being woo-woo attached to it that would work just as fine. But for some reason, people are dead set on not using those words in the proper context that they were intended.
Yeah, I think that this is a weird degradation of the word sympathy in lieu of the power of the word of empathy. And the reason I say this is, if you look at the history of things, if you were a sympathizer to something, it meant you were all in with that thing. You were on that thing's side. If you said, I have sympathy for their position, it would mean that you actually had some kind of care for it. And now we keep seeing this from people all over the place. It's just pitying people. It's being distant and cold. Nowhere in the definition is that. And it has not been that historically throughout the history of the word sympathy. And yet they downplay sympathy as much as possible and upplay empathy as much as possible, which is a very weird thing to me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, like I said, I think it's this, we find ourselves in this weird scenario where there's this glaring problem, and people have had it through propaganda for so many years, and it's embedded so deeply in psychology that they're not willing to consider letting it go or criticizing it. So then they have to argue. They have to argue from whichever way they can to hold on to this thing when they really don't have to. You really don't have to, guys. We've got other better descriptive words, and it doesn't require this nonsense of empathy. It's okay. Just consider it.
And what's funny is when you look into it, you realize that it was coined in the first decade of the 1900s, and then it was only really used in colleges and in psychological exam rooms until right around World War II, and then it explodes off the chart in usage. And then you see, well, World War One, but both World Wars, you saw this explosion in the usage of it, specifically for social movements outside of psychology and art that were to push for women's suffrage and all these other things. But basically what happened is it was conscripted out of its original usage with the art, the classroom, and with psychology, and placed into the social sphere because you have to have empathy for these people.
I'm gonna look. That's an interesting point. I wonder how much empathy was used as a weapon during suffrage. You know, look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna write that down. making the case stronger.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny how you see it popularize in way bigger ways after suffrage compared to prior. And even when you look at the pamphlets, you look at the talking points of early feminism, and you'll see it's littered through it.
Yeah.
You have to feel for them. You have to be in the fight with them. You have to
empathize with them.
Yep. Very strange thing, man. And
yeah.
I've said this probably a million times at this point, but words are your greatest tools and weapons as a human being. Some of the greatest tools you have. Because they can wage war, they can fix things, they can build you up or tear you down. So when people start manipulating language in a way that it shapes society around what they want it to be, I start to take extreme notice. Hold on.
Yeah, that's actually, and other than it being logically inconsistent, that is another reason why I feel like this needs to be attacked so much, because I want to strip everything I can away from the left. I don't want them to have anything.
Yep.
So if this is another attack vector that I can go after to make people realize, hey guys, stop indulging in this. Stop even granting this nonsense. That's one more thing we can just beat them over the head with and make them look silly. But it requires us to actually consider the argument, realize it's nonsense, in order to attack it and take that power away from them.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. It's just like the whole, I've stood against multiple things, but the whole my truth, your truth bullcrap. Constantly I have to shut that down because you're only saying my opinion when you say that.
Right. Yeah. So they can be.
But you just have to keep twisting that language little by little. Until truth means nothing. Real, true emotions mean nothing. Individual experience means nothing. Merit means nothing. All of these things are just eroded by casual usage of language or changing of language.
Yeah, it's funny how that whole my truth thing even creeps in with people who you would say are more conservative, or it just creeps in different ways where it's like they're adopting this language. Mm-hmm. And giving in to this idea. But yeah, it's a perspective. It's okay. So you mean your perspective or your preference or whatever. Yeah. It's this subjective thing. It's not the, cause when you say my truth, it's almost like you're putting obviously the goal out there is they can't justify it objectively in any way. So they have to put this truth statement on it in order to make it valid.
Power.
And power, right.
Mhm.
They have to give it some sort of power that seems to be outside themselves, but it really isn't.
Right. And it's like generating an arbitration for yourself in the position of judge, right? So you're like, because I say this thing and it's my truth, it makes it true objectively. And so now you're just the judge of the universe, because if you can say my truth and it makes it true, then anything you say that's my truth is true. Well, you're God at that point. You're just taking that position for yourself, right?
Yeah, a lot of arguments put the person in what you're saying, basically their God. Like it's the goal of like, I'm judge, jury, and executioner, and this is valid without me having to argue the point. And a lot of arguments fall into that. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Yeah, especially if you're coming at it, especially if you're coming at it from a really leftist position. Oftentimes, what I find is like you can watch an argument, not from a full blown debater, because oftentimes they understand better. They get what that language means and they're careful about it. But if you're just in a verbal argument with somebody who has very left leaning views, you'll hear them using it as if it's like it just sinks right into their conversational language usage, like it's true. Like, if they say this thing, it makes it true. If they say, the same is true for a bunch of things, right? For instance, if we use the word empathy, you're supposed to, as the observer, as the outside person, objectively believe that person is actually experiencing the same emotions and understands it that other person is. And it's like, that it's the same begging the question of the gender question, of the my truth question. It's all of it is, you have to believe this thing I'm telling you, even though you can't know it, prove it. I can't prove it. I can't show it. None of it. And you're just all supposed to agree.
Yeah. It's this crazy like axiom that they think they have, or they don't even really consider it, and they throw it out there, and you're in their world, and you're in their they've drugged you down, and now you have to fight from whatever this word is, this empathy means to them. And if you're not up to par, well, then you're a bad guy. You're just a bad guy. You're a bad, meanie man.
Well, and I don't even so much have an issue with the word, like Trench is saying in chat. Well, it already hit the zeitgeist before the culture war, so it's already a cemented thing in our language usage. And I don't disagree with that statement. However, if the word is going to be used, it needs to be used in an accurate fashion that is not so wishy-washy. It can mean almost anything in an emotional manner, and nobody can know what it actually means. You say understanding. Okay, this is one of the things I brought up in that debate. I said, when somebody tells you that person's very understanding, what are they saying to you? They're not saying that person did a bunch of research. They're not saying they looked into everything. They're saying that person's kind. They're saying that person's a good person. And so when you look at things like empathy, it starts to change that meaning a bit, doesn't it? It gives a virtue. Again, it's because this person is understanding and sharing in it, they're a good person. That's the automatic response to the use of empathy.
Trench is leaning into he wants to just start using simping more. That's what he wants to replace it with, it seems like, in chat.
Well, if you could tell me how that's different, I would disagree. But if we're going to say that empathy is sharing in the emotions of the other person, doesn't that fall under unrequited emotional connection? Because that person doesn't have to give anything back.
Right. How do you share in something like emotion and that you don't have access to in someone else's head? How does that? How do you make that logical leap?
The problem is I can say that I understand what my anger, my rage, my sadness, my love, I understand what mine feel like. And I could say that maybe there's an approximation when you feel those things to what I feel, but they can't be exactly the same. And I have to know that. The moment that I believe that I and you can feel the exact same emotion, the exact same way, I think that's a dangerous road to go down.
Yeah. And even if you go down that, what the scripture you just gave right there, that's just perspective taking or imaginative projection or something else. It's not this thing, empathy. You're not sharing their emotions. You don't have access to their emotions.
Right. It's you imagining that you are feeling the same thing as that person. And then, what's even worse, is you imagine that you're feeling the same thing as them. And now you're going to make choices, judgments, tell yourself a whole story in your head based on it without any foundational information about the situation. So now you've built a castle of falsehoods in your head about this other person's emotional state.
It's a castle made of sand.
It is.
Built on a bed of lies.
Yeah. Exactly. One could say.
Trench might be one to take the argument. He might want to
I think he does want to.
Sounds like it. You want to tell us how wrong we are, Trench? You want to set the record straight?
You want to duke it out with Trench? Trench, you want to come up and argue your...
So, just to respond to one of my chatters, Shakaturi, there's nothing saying that all humans don't deserve the same respect. That has nothing to do with this. So I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Yeah, and by the way, nowhere in empathy does it say respect either.
Right.
Again, this is what I was saying earlier. Because it says the word understanding, it's automatically taken as kindness because we've always used understanding as a synonym to kindness when we talk about human beings. When somebody's understanding, they're kind. And if you create a scenario where this person shares in your emotion and they have understanding, now that person's immediately kind, and that's a good thing. Even if you said that guy empathizes with serial killers, for instance, I don't think that that's probably a good thing to empathize with, but because you use the word empathy, it comes across as a kindness.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're an empath, you're super kindness or something.
Yep.
Whatever the Super Saiyan version of empathy is, I'm not sure what you would say that. But that would
I think that's what makes his hair go blue and pink and stuff.
Pink, yeah, probably the pink version. Yeah, that would fit. Yeah, I am interested to have this argument with someone to see if they can get past my P and not P contradiction. Love to understand their reasoning on that.
Are you going to try to set up an actual debate for it, or do you just want to argue with people about it on the panel?
Probably just argue with people about it on the panel, I would imagine. I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to have a debate over it. Man, I'm always down. I'm always down to debate.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anything to sharpen the sword.
I agree with you. I think the more you do it, the better it is. Even if it gets a little bit heated or crazy at times, as long as you have the same understanding as the other person, this is not a personal thing. We're trying to attack ideas, break them down.
Right.
That's part of why I'm even okay with having the conversation about this specific topic, is I want it shredded and honed so that if it is a true, real thing, it's proven, and then it's set in a more objective manner, so that it can't be this wishy-washy thing used as a weapon or as a grandstanding tool. constantly.
For sure. You know, this would be a fun one to just post up on like something like TikTok and then just welcome people up.
It would be.
Might have to consider. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do something like that, or maybe a YouTube stream.
I think it's a good idea.
Have people come up and just argue. Prove me wrong segment. Because there seems to be a lot of people that are they get worked up over this. I don't understand that. I don't really understand why this in particular is such a button, such a hot button for a lot of people.
So I kind of do, and what I'll say is, this is something that happens to people like Andrew, people like Emmett, right? There's this weird thing inside of modern day humans' brains that if you disagree with an argument, not with an actual thing, with an argument about a topic, because you don't see the logical consistency in it, then that automatically attributes something to your character as a human being. So if I took devil's advocate for something and somebody sees me argue that devil's advocate, whatever I argued is truly what my moral center is, and I'm evil if it's something bad. So like when Emmett argues that marriage should be enforced, and anybody who leaves a marriage unjustified leaving of a marriage should be getting legal repercussions for what they've done, or criminal even. And immediately what happens is they put that into his character, and then they start calling him names rather than arguing or contending with the logical drawdown of the argument itself. And I see it all the time. So the moment that I say, I think empathy is fake and gay, it automatically means I don't care about any humans at all. I'm a terrible human being. And that's right. The modern day human brain cannot contend with an argument versus a belief.
Right. Yeah. I see that a lot too, especially with Andrew. One thing that I've noticed a lot, and this is other people this happens to as well, where like you're saying, they'll take, almost like an aggressive internal critique, and they'll live inside this proposition that someone thinks is right, and they'll start arguing in that framework. And then for whatever reason, people hear that and they go, this guy believes that. He believes everything about that. This is his worldview. And then they'll reference it later on. Well, you said this without actually taking the entire context. Do you understand? He's either doing devil's advocate or internal critique or some crazy analogy. He's not actually saying, this is my worldview, this is what I believe.
Right. And the worst part is, and this will hook to what we're even talking about, the empathy of the situation allows them to think they know what this person believes now because they have understanding, and they extrapolate that out, right? And because he believes this thing, he must believe this thing and this thing and this thing, and there's no logical entailments that connect them because for some reason people do not have any logical coherency inside their brains today. And so what happens is, because you think that leaving your marriage unjustified should have legal repercussions, it also means you probably torture dogs and all these other things. And it's like, first of all, the person who's arguing that may not actually believe what they're arguing. They're giving you a logical argument to test your logic, not their own. And how did you attach all this other bullshit to it?
Yeah, that's like
I see it all the time.
Yeah, like the Andrew, he's argued a few times of making an analogy of like locking women up in cages and things like that. And so many people are like, he wants to lock people up in cages. Like, really?
It's because it blows my mind, and then it pisses me off. The same happens with his force doctrine argument. They extrapolate out that he believes all forms of force are right because he's arguing that might makes, that whoever holds power can enforce that power in whichever way they choose. He's not saying that you should use it for evil, but he's saying that even evil people with power can do whatever the hell they want so long as they have enough power to do it. And people automatically think because he's saying whoever has the force has the power and can choose what happens, that he wants the bad.
Yeah, they jump from might makes to might makes right.
Yeah,
it's crazy
to me.
Yeah, there's a
it's a disconnect, man, and I think it has to do with a lack of critical thinking that used to get inbuilt through like daily experience working on the farm and doing things, menial tasks, and growing yourself as a person, having lots of conversations in person, being responsible and accountable for the words you speak and the ideas you put into the world. And because it doesn't exist in the same way it did in the past, people never develop the logical linkage that needs to exist for you to actually contend with arguments. And so a huge swath of the population today will automatically attribute whatever you say in an argument to be your moral compass.
Yeah, I do wonder though, especially today, debate has become more and more popular, especially online. I wonder how much of that is just people who are not in the debate space and don't understand debate, hearing these arguments and then jumping to what they think is their logical conclusion, and just running with it.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of in the debate space, like me and you, a lot of other guys, we hear an argument, we're listening to the argument and we're trying to understand the entailment of the point they're trying to get to, versus trying to burn them at the stake for the things they're saying. So I do wonder, I think that might also have a lot to do with it, but I do think that you have a valid point there too, where people just don't, they're built different, man. They're not built the same way they used to be, where it used to be this, logical, the old folks used to call it common sense, sense, just having some common sense, And I think that's not as popular today.
That's the whole thing of why we ended up developing the question of how would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast today or this morning, is because there's this weird thing where if I ask you if it was the case that, and then I lay something out, you shouldn't automatically believe I'm saying this is my belief system. You should be saying, oh, this is a scenario I'm trying to think through that he's proposed. And somewhere in our modern world, if somebody's like, what would you say if something happened, right? What would you say if a car hit the side of your house and turned into a taco somehow inside your and then they automatically attribute pieces of that to you as a person. And it's like, did you not hear the part of what would you feel or what would you think or how would you deal with? You're asking a scenario-based question, and then there's no connection in the mind to think, what would I do? Instead, it's, you're a terrible person.
Yeah. I've, so since getting into debate, I will say that personal interactions with friends and family has changed quite a bit.
It does.
Especially just understanding, kind of trying to understand their arguments and then trying to dissect an idea with them. But I also do see what you're talking about, where in people who are not used to debate, when you try to give them an analogy, or you try to do like reductio reasoning with them, there's in some senses they're so concerned about, is this a trap or is this some sort of like they're trying to win an argument, and they don't even want to engage.
Right.
So
right.
I have seen that a lot, actually.
Well, it's even as bad from what I've seen as the moment you start doing any level of Socratic questioning. When somebody says a statement and you're like, well, why are you led to believe that? Instantly there's this offense, like, what, you calling me a liar? Like, no, I'm asking. I'm legitimately asking, why do you think that is the case? But instead of them saying, oh, I think it's the case because of this, well, they don't actually self-examine on a large enough basis. They just get angry because they're not sure why they believe that thing.
Yeah, that's common too. People, they repeat things, and it's almost like I refer to it almost like a old wives' tale stuff, right? It's just things that people repeat over and over again, and they don't really know why or have any reason to explain it. And then they repeat it, and then someone like yourself or me asks, "Well, why? Why does this thing do that? Why do you think this?" And you're right, it does. It's almost like you're questioning their internal being or their soul or something.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But I think that plays into this exact same topic that we're talking about, because if you believe that humans can experience the inner world of another human being, why would you not attribute things to people that you're having a conversation with if you believe that you actually can feel or experience their inner experience or inner world? If you actually believe that's the case, then you can make any claim of another person because you have empathy, because you understand how they feel. You understand what's going through their head. And I think that it gets used like that very often, at least as post hoc rationalization inside the minds of the person making statements about another person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. It like I said, it's wormed its way into the collective vocabulary, and it's probably going to be a pretty hard thing for people to get over. I feel like the debate space and more conservative mindsets, based on the arguments that I'm putting forth, could be a little more easily convinced to even, at least approach this and consider this. But I haven't come up with an argument for like someone, like if I'm arguing this against an atheist or a leftist, I don't know if I really have too much of an argument, because their worldview's pretty screwed to begin with. So
yeah, for me,
it's hard to build a logical framework on nonsense that they already, all the other nonsense they already believe.
True. For me, it's like, I feel like language should be concise. It's your main tool of communicating what's internally in you with others. And if you can't seem to use it for that, then you're dropping the ball. And that's not to say that people who legitimately can't, are at fault for not being able to. But if you have the faculties to communicate accurately, then why would you slosh the words into a mush of meaninglessness when you could actually use them in an accurate manner that would convey your ideas more clear and concisely?
Yeah, and go back to your previous point, it's such this ambiguous word with all these different meanings, and you have like a hard version of it and then like more watered down version of it. And even if you look into it, like I said in my research, that it's even debated of what it even is, and what it how it applies to psychology. And so there's even like infighting in psychology of like what this thing properly means or how to apply it.
Right.
So why are we putting so much stock in this, this word that was made for what I can tell, the only reason it was made is to just use it either as a weapon or use it in some weird art project. Well, and it's like, it's this part of society now.
Well, what would be the issue with people just saying, I care about them?
Right.
I care about people. Like, you don't need to say I'm empathetic. You don't need to say I empathize with them. I have empathy for them. Why did we need to create a word that has a bunch of woo-woo linkages into it from its inception till today, rather than just saying I have sympathy for, or I care for, or I can understand? Like, why do that? Why create a word, link a whole bunch of woo-woo to it, and then let that carry into the modern day where people literally believe they're like mind-reading empaths who understand everyone's emotion in a room the moment they walk in, and possibly have the ability to control the emotions of the room because of their presence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably the same reason why, gender studies, just muddying the waters between gender and sex and all this other stuff. I would say it's just another way for them to play with words in order to bend reality to what they want it to be and force it on everyone else. That's my take.
Yeah. I think, well, that's why I brought up the fact that it's automatically seen as a virtue.
Yeah, that is a universal. Like everyone who buys into this.
Yeah.
Oh, this person's. I've never heard someone say someone's empathetic in a negative connotation. It's always, if someone's empathetic, oh, they're such an empathetic person. It's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. And so if you don't have empathy, oh, Mo, you don't have empathy? You're an evil, cartoonish villain that wants to,
Right. Well, and that actually is even worse, because what that does is it shuts down your critical thinking even further. Because if I seek to understand prior to giving care to something, right? If I see a situation and I'm like, I'm not going to just feel for this. I'm not going to be like, oh man, I'm so sorry for, no. I'm going to step back and go, wait, is this legitimate? I need to understand this a little bit more before I make a choice, or just a justified choice at least. And then because you didn't automatically care, you don't have empathy. So you're the bad guy because you decided you needed a moment to think about it.
Remember those pictures that AOC took when she was all sad next to the fence?
Yep.
And they put it all over the news, and people were like, "Oh my God, she's crying!" And then you zoom out, and it's like a empty parking lot. So yeah, you're right. You're going to empathize with her feelings. She's feeling for all these people. Poor AOC. Don't you have any empathy in your heart? It's like, I need to know a little more. It's a good point.
It is. I think that at least in part, a large portion of the time, it's used to shut down critical thinking. Just like all the other things, just like my truth, just like all of them are ways to cancel out your seeking to look further into things rather than accepting them because somebody said it.
I feel like I'm making this argument just the stronger the more you talk, Abe.
Good. Because maybe you can take it somewhere and thrash it so hard that it sticks.
I'm hoping. I think that's a good point. The shutting down critical thinking part, that is another valid point in how it's utilized today in common language with people. Yeah, it's very true.
Like, if you're not given justification for why you should have empathy for a situation that's going on, why would you have empathy for the situation that's going on? Right? Like, if I just tell you a story about a group of people that are being oppressed in an area, and then I lay out all these things about how they're being oppressed, and you feel empathy for those people, and then somebody starts talking about a topic somewhere else in your life, and you're like, oh man, I heard about these people, it's really terrible, and this and this and this, and then you relay that story, and now you've spread that empathy to someone else, and maybe that original story was completely false. And if that's the case, you just gave empathy to something because your emotions ruled the situation rather than your critical thinking. And if you didn't go look and see if it was an accurate statement, for all you know, the people who were claimed to be oppressed are actually the oppressors, and they're toppling other people's lives and destroying everything everywhere they go. But you have sympathy for them, or you have empathy for them because you heard a story.
Yeah. This group of people were driven out of the city and persecuted, and they wanted to lock them up. Oh, then you come to find out they were like cannibals or something, and murdering people or something crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, like, it's all in the eye of the person, right? It's all perspective based. So if somebody who was doing wrong and has something happen that should happen because they were doing wrong, they're going to complain. We've seen this a lot, right? You see it in relationships. So-and-so left me. They were a terrible human being. But then come to find out, the person who's saying all those things is actually the bad person. They were doing really shitty things. But if you just take the empathy right off the bat, you're going to believe the person who was the aggressor. In a lot of cases, because human nature is to defend self. And I think that empathy just amplifies that to a point of, I don't know, man. It just comes down to things like believe all women and like all of those things.
Yeah, you can see it also, the story you just gave, you can see that play out in real time on the Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
Some chick will make a claim of something horrible, and then they start asking her, details about it. Turns out she was a horrible person. It was probably her fault. Yeah.
Yep. Because we live in first person view. I don't want to make a bunch of like biblical claims, but like we look through glass darkly. And what I've always kind of taken that at least in part to mean, is that if you look through smoky or dark glass, you see yourself. You don't see the world. You see yourself. You're seeing the reflection of self over everything. So the stories you tell, the situations you were in, all of it's based on your emotional perspective, your personal experience, not about what actually happened. You can't give an objective reenactment or telling of something, not really, because you are the person in the scenario. And because you overlay your view of things on the world all the time, it's nearly impossible to give objective information as an individual.
Yeah, we all view reality through cognitive filters.
Yes.
Right. So
yes.
by definition, anything that we relay is going to be subjective in nature.
Which just makes empathy even less likely to be true. Right. Because not only can you not be in their head, you also have all of their cognitive filters and your cognitive filters between you and them to even get close to their emotional state.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have any chatters out there that want to come up and argue with Mo about this? Because I think Mo's right, and I'm not going to actually take a stance against people. I already just debated it, but...
Yeah, come one, come all. Anyone wants to come up and have a little... We just have a discussion. We don't have to be full-on debate, bro, if you don't want, but we can go that route if you want to. I don't care.
Sure can. I'm going to throw the link out there. And if we have anybody interested in coming up and talking about whether or not they agree or disagree, whatever you want to give us your take on it. Is empathy real and important and the builder of all societies in the world, or is it just fake and gay? Let us know. Welcome in, Kat. And thank you all for being here. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and consider donating so that I can continue to make videos for you guys.
Yeah, get those likes, get those subs, and throw those donos. Show's not free.
It's true. It's not free to produce, that's for sure. So
yeah. So you got any debates coming up?
I don't right now. I don't have anything set. Actually, this last couple weeks, I've been having a bunch of physical, like bodily pain issues and stuff. And then that leads me into worn down immune system. So then I'm sick. But I think I'm on the uptake. I'm hoping, because I need to get back into, like, I was getting into doing my weekly series of Young Men, It's Not Your Fault, But It Is Your Fight.
I like that.
The series on every man in history, especially young men, went to war for their countries, not because of something that they did, but because of what past generations did. And we are in a time where we don't realize all of history has been that way. And it is the duty of a man to rise to the occasion in the world he lives in and be the man that the world needs him to be. So I want to lay things out.
That's a solid point. I think that is something that is missed, because I talk to a lot of guys, and it does seem like a lot of guys have this feeling of, well, I didn't cause this, and everything's just messed up, and why is it my problem? And it's like, well, you can look through history, and there were pretty much any point in history there was something that the men of that time had to deal with in some way. And it wasn't always necessarily their fault, but it might be their responsibility.
Yep. Well, I mean, look, even if you, in your home right now, if out of no fault of your own, the pipes burst, do you have to deal with that?
Right.
Okay. Well, guess what? That's how life works. There's going to be things that are outside of your control. It's your responsibility to control your life. And if you have a family and you're a man, then it's your responsibility to care for them as well. So I think that we have gotten really far away from the, like, I want to call it like extreme accountability. Like, even though there's going to be things that happen to you that suck ass, that are really hard to deal with, you still have to deal with them. You're in it. You're in your life, and the things that come along have to be dealt with. You can whine about it. You can say the world's effed and I can't do anything about it and give up, but that's how the world falls apart, one man at a time. So
right, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's for me, I never really could relate to that, where, you know, like something goes wrong and it's like the end of the world. Like guys just like lose their minds and they get all emotional. For me, it's more of, okay, here's a problem, and then so it's like you work through it. I always look at it like, you know, one day I'm gonna look back and this is gonna be a funny story, right? Like, oh, my pipes burst and there was water everywhere. That's a story you tell your buddies. Like, oh man, I was about to go do this, the damn pipes bursted, then I had to spend, and then I was up till 3 a.m. trying to, like, you know, fix this shit. So yeah, that's, I don't know, that it never really, stuff like that really doesn't, I guess, cripple me, if I'm being honest. But I talk to a lot of guys where it seems like the littlest thing, it's like, goes wrong or doesn't work, and then it's like, wow, it's all just because, you know, everything's horrible and everything's working against us. You know, actually, I actually think something that ties into that, and maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like a lot of the reason so many guys feel that way, especially guys who are chronically online, is because of all of this manosphere shit. I feel like yeah, I think the manosphere has, like, turned guys into hedonistic animals where if things aren't going
easy all the time,
everything should be right. Yeah. Like there's no love of grind anymore, or, you know, accepting the suffering situation to get to a better outcome.
Okay, well, here's my hot take. Adversity breeds success. Because people that know the struggle and drive to get through it will have a harder, stronger drive and a better testimony to other people to help them do the same. People that don't have to struggle, don't understand. And if you were pampered your whole life and something bad happens, guess what? You're going to fall down because you don't know what to do about it in that moment.
So I agree. So here's a follow-up question for you that plays into that. And I'm still mentally trying to work through it, right? Or trying to come to what I think is a good solution, right? So in that regard, right? You got kids. I got kids. Where's the line? How do you navigate that boat to where you have this need to provide and care, and you want to give them the best life possible, but at the same time you recognize that they need to struggle in order to stand on there? I have ideas of what that looks like, but it's just one of those things where I guess what I'm saying is I don't have like a complete blueprint. I just have pieces.
So I think that one of the things you have to do is you want to not give them the answers right off the bat. You want to not help them right off the bat. It doesn't mean that you're distant or cold. You want them to know that you're there, but you also want them to know that they need to try to figure it out on their own, because in this world, there's going to be very few times where somebody's going to step up and help them or do it for them when they need something done. And so they need to learn that self-reliance. Now, I might say to my sons, you need to figure it out. And they'll probably whine about it a little bit, and I'll say, I'm sorry, I can't help you right now. You need to figure it out. And sometimes they'll figure it out. Sometimes it'll be a little bit beyond them, and I'll actually step in. I'll be like, okay, I can understand that this was hard. I'm going to show you how to do it, so next time you don't need me to do it for you. And so I think that there's a level of don't be cruel, but also don't enable them to do nothing. And so that's the line. The line is don't be like, I don't care at all, and don't be, I'll do everything for you. It's somewhere in the middle ground. But you always, I think for me, I always want to make them try to do it on their own first, because I think there's learning in the trying.
Right. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. I like that. That's kind of what I've been applying. I'm a new dad, so both my kids are very young. But even down to little things like what you're saying, like so the 2-year-old, she's just now like getting comfortable dressing herself, right? so she struggles with it. Like put the shirt on her. I might put her on like halfway. Okay, now you got to figure out put your arms in, and then not help her. Like no, you gotta figure it out. Then she'll whine, and then she'll finally get it. I think that is an easier task. I feel like it, and I'm just guessing here, but I feel like it might become more muddy the older they get.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
I'm probably softer sometimes than I should be, but I also was raised with a father who did things like, your mom's vehicle has something wrong with it. You need to go figure out what it is. And it's freaking snow on the ground, and you're like, I don't know what to do. It won't start. And you just have to figure it out. And it didn't matter if you asked for help. It didn't matter what you said. You needed to have that done, and it needed to be done today. And you just lay under that car, and sometimes you're going to weep about it, and sometimes you're going to be really pissed about it, but we figured it out over time. And I don't want to be that dad who's not there, but at the same time, I see the value in forcing them to overcome sometimes.
right.
Not to the point of like making them hate their life, right? But
Right. So somewhere in between, making sure they're independent, but not necessarily shipping them off to military school.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense.
So yeah, I think it's hard because every individual human being has their own personalities. What you find, especially as a parent, is that you could have children raised in the same household by the same parents with the same rules, with the same belief systems, everything, and they will turn out completely different. Their outlook on how they save their money, how they use their money, how they clean, how they organize, everything about them is completely different. They're raised exactly the same, but somehow they're completely different. And so there's some of that means that you as a parent have to figure out what's more effective for each child individually, because it's going to be different. Like one child might not take to discipline at all. They might just keep doing the thing regardless of the discipline. And the other one, all they needed was a stern look, and they'll never do that thing again. And so it's really funny how different people can be.
I've even noticed that with individual things with one kid, right? Like like for the most part, just like you say, a stern look, but then there's this one thing, it's like a repeat thing for whatever reason. They refuse to let it go. It's like a line in the sand they've drawn. It's a battle of like wills and discipline to get over it. It's crazy.
Okay, I gotta read this one. Sorry. I'm paying attention, but I'm kind of like in the conversation too. So Red Door Woman says, in reality, empathy is actually projective self-involvement. This is ultimately a form of narcissism that passes as caring. I mean, that's basically what I've said.
Yeah, someone, who was it? It was a brief discussion I had. Empathy came up, and someone was making the connection between basically psychopathy and empathy, to where they're the ones that are like truly, in a way to even approach like doing it, because they're just psycho, and that's how they're narcissistic and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, if you were a sociopath or a psychopath and you wanted to exhibit normalcy, all you would have to do is pretend to be empathetic about things. Act like you feel, I'm sorry, that must be really hard for you. I can totally understand what you're going through, and you just seem earnest, and you seem like a completely normal person. What's worse is that like the belief structure built into this and the virtue built into this as time has gone on makes people feel like they're some kind of virtuous paladin as long as they feel bad for people and outwardly show that they care. Like,
yeah, they're paladin of the group, man. They're the moral compass that everyone should follow.
Yeah, and in reality, you should just be the one upholding your own moral standards. Well, in our case, biblical moral standards, but you should be holding to what you know is right, and that should be the virtue, not the I outwardly show the world that I have feelings. Because I don't see empathy as a private thing most of the time. It's like some kind of broadcasting that you're empathetic. Like, what good is it if it's in private and nobody knows about it? Is it needed to be talked about? Does the world need to know that you have empathy? I don't know, it's a weird thing. And sympathy, I could say, like, sympathy I can feel for people going through hard times. I can feel for them. Not like for them, but you know what I mean. I can be like, that really sucks. I've been there. I hope it gets better. And if I can help, I will. But that's it is what it is. And that's not pity. That's not like me being cold about it. That's me understanding, man, that sucks. But that doesn't entail me being in that same feeling. Like, I don't know what's going on in that household. I don't know why they're going through that thing. None of that needs to be known. But if I was saying that I'm empathetic to that situation, well, now it's a whole new thing. I'm sharing in it, which is a public display, right? Because to share is beyond self. Now I'm sharing with you, not just feeling it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So Abe, I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to you being sick because I was recently sick from, and it sucks. Hope you get better, man.
Hey, thanks.
Hope you get better. Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
I don't know what you're feeling though.
Sometimes being sick sucks.
Yeah, we had a round of it over here not too long ago. It sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear it just goes round and round inside of a household, and it's like,
oh yeah,
just disinfect everything.
Well, it's just crazy. It felt like, where we were at, it felt like it was like 2-3 weeks in a row of just 7-degree temperature. Remember that? I don't know if you were in that Arctic, whatever the hell it was that like came through, and it was like this hard cold for multiple states. That sucked.
Yep. So usually we get it before anybody, and then we get it at the tail end again, but like this time it's been really weird. Like, we've had below zeros off and on, but it's been the weirdest freaking weather this year. Like, sometimes it's 30 below. We've had some that are 50 below, but like this year we'll dip down into like -5, -10, and then it'll come back up to 20s, and then it's in the 40s for a week, and then boom, it's back down near zero. And I'm like, what is even happening this winter? I don't even understand what's going on. And you guys got frozen across the South and the Midwest. And I'm like, okay.
You're sure. I don't know where you're at, man, but that's crazy weather. You're a braver man than me. Going down into the teens is enough for me. I'm good. I don't need to go in the negatives.
Yeah. Sucks when it gets that bad, actually. It's pretty hard. Yeah, it's pretty hard on things.
I thought Trench would definitely come up here, and
I think he said he was at the shop or something.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna say he ran away. That's what I'm gonna tell him. At least
he ran.
Yeah, he ran. That's what I'm gonna say. That's
sad.
The narrative I'm gonna go with, and he'll have to empathize with my feeling on the matter.
Yeah, because he believes in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But see, even when we were having this conversation this evening, people are bringing up the not caring about people. People brought up in my chat, how conservative right-wing Christians are screwing up everything because they don't allow people to think correctly. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? We're literally discussing the meaning of a word. We haven't brought up Christian principles. We haven't brought up scripture. We haven't even brought up straight conservatism. All we've brought up is that we think this word is inaccurate to reality. And you're in my chat saying that we screwed up all of society and we're the worst thing that's ever happened to anything because we're trying to understand a word.
Yeah, the only comment I got on my stream is some guy saying that somehow we're saying humans don't deserve respect or something to that nature. So it's like, okay.
It's so weird to me.
Never came up in the conversation. Don't know how you're making the leap. It's this need to defend this thing, man. People, once again, it just is surprising to me, like how much of a like visceral reaction people have to this.
Yep. Doesn't make sense.
So,
Are you defending the word? Or are you defending your virtuousness because you think you exhibit it?
Yeah. Maybe it's a scenario of like they've been told like they're a very empathetic person, and now it's part of their identity.
Yep.
Yeah. So other than, I guess maybe like a handful of people in your chat, you and me, the only other people I've talked to that agree with me is like one other guy, and then Emmett apparently agrees because Emmett's very analytical, and I think he thought this even before I brought it up because he was on another panel. He said it was fake and gay, and I was like, yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
But it's okay. We're gonna convince them. It's gonna take a while. Just gotta give the arguments out there. Gotta go back. Gotta wrestle with this. We're gonna get more and more on our side.
Loving your fellow man and caring about their well-being is not the same as empathy, people. And it's okay to have one and not the other.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to attack this crazy psychology nonsense that justifies all kind of horrible things like the gender dysphoria. You know, people are really a woman because they can feel what it feels like to be a woman without ever being a woman. It's okay. We're attacking the whole structure. We're gonna knock the legs out from under it. You just gotta come along with the ride.
Yeah. And it's actually really crazy too, because when we look at, you talked about the inception of the word into popular culture and the recoining of it from the original Greek and Latin roots, right? And sympathia and empathia both come from the same roots of language. And it's funny that one has basically held its meaning the entirety of the time, which would be the sympathy or sympathia. But the empathy one is not so much the case. It's got this weird, windy history of selling more than is possible within the word, I think.
And that's the one that they consider to be a mind virus. So that's also fascinating.
Yep. Frowned upon, looked down upon, not liked, thought to be it's exactly that, because when people get the mental belief that they can feel what's inside of other people or completely get what's going on with them, well, then outrage becomes completely contagious. Love is contagious. Every emotion becomes completely and utterly contagious, because as long as empathy exists, you can feel what's in other people. If you can feel what's in other people, it could be catching. Could catch the emotions. And then, well, what accountability do you have? You just caught that emotion from somebody else. Yeah.
Shutting down critical thinking. I think that's a solid point that you made there. It's a framework and almost a tool to shut down critical thinking and make you pick a side. And if you don't pick a side, then you're not empathetic, and then you're the bad guy. Like I said, you're the cartoonish villain trying to put people on train tracks.
Right. Well, isn't that the point of like all of the questions? When people are like, do you stand with this place? Do you stand with that place? Do you stand with BLM? Do you stand with? They're asking for your empathy on something you have no idea what's actually happening. But if you don't agree with the stance they have, guess what? You're the bad guy.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep.
Going back to the whole believe all women and all that. All
of it. It's been a constant like railroading of the mental state of the general populace. You just keep guardrails up, utilizing the if you don't believe what we believe, you're bad. And it's almost always based on compassion and understanding of people's plight. And so there you have it. It's like a wagon. Like, get on the wagon. The empathy wagon takes you where you're going to go. And don't think about it yourself. Just trust that the empathy wagon's going the right direction. It will make sure you're virtuous.
Make sure you're on the right side of history.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I think that's another angle, the strong argument of, listing the things you just listed, believe all women. These are things that are pluralizing. Why can I say that word?
Polarizing.
Polarizing. Thank you. Polarizing. Brain shutting down. It's late. Polarizing. And you have to pick a side. And just so, and that's the same way empathy is weaponized today, where it's, are you not empathetic? Do you not have any empathy? It's a very polarizing statement, and you have to pick a side. You're either the good guy or the bad guy. And then it does shut down the critical thinking of the situation.
Yep.
So that's another angle of the argument where you can paint that picture of, okay, well, even looking, once you go through all the origins and what it means, and I like the Greek, mind virus take, that's pretty funny. And then you look at how it's used in psychology, then you can tackle the angle of, okay, well, now how is it used in today's day and age? It falls in the same category as the believe all women. Don't you believe all women? Don't you want to believe the victims?
Yeah, I think that modern day usage of empathy is in fact the foundation of virtue signaling. Of almost all virtue signaling is based on some empathetic claim.
Yeah, that's but I'm interested. Maybe I can have I don't know when we're going to bring it up, but maybe I can bring it up with Easy seemed to be the biggest proponent against it that night. That was also, side note, that was kind of fun because Easy, whenever he has like a debate, he stays neutral, right? Even in the after panel. But what was cool is like I popped up and I'm not on the list of not being neutral with, so he could go in on me. So right. I did like that. That was kind of fun because it made me think like, maybe
heated.
Maybe I should do that more often because it allows Easy like an outlet to like talk without like targeting the other debaters. So that was kind of fun. But I don't know like how often I'll be able to do it based on the subject. But
that was pretty good.
Maybe we can have another discussion and I can kind of paint this picture, especially the P and not P contradiction, and see what his take is on it.
Yep. I mean, that's a hard one to contend with. If there's some form of contention, it'd be good to suss it out. Now, the only thing I can see as a meaningful distinction would be that the claim of something that resembles empathy, which again would probably fall into sympathy because you don't need any extra steps, is good for people, right? Like sympathy, having sympathy for your neighbor, having sympathy for those who are in a bad way or who need help or whatever is good,
right,
within reason, right? Because there's going to be times where your natural predilection is to feel bad for somebody's situation and maybe want to reach out and help, even though they shouldn't be helped because they're in a bad situation because they're doing bad things. It does, like, even from the Christian worldview, there is that sympathy response of, oh, geez, maybe I can help that struggling family or that struggling person, or they're stranded on the side of the road because their tire blew out, or like those things are good. That kindness is good to give. But I don't think that we have to go as far as sharing in an emotional response or sharing in the, however you want to put it. And usually what happens is they're mangling the words, right? They're going to mangle it to the point where understanding means you have foreknowledge, or they're going to mangle it and say that because you've had this thing happen, you understand. And because you understand, there's like a sharing of an emotion there. Well, yeah, I could see where you can understand how you being mad or you being sad or you being loved or whatever feels to you. That does not mean that it equates to how they feel. And I think that that's the danger. That's always been the danger for me. Like that claim of knowing the inner workings of someone else, because only God knows the heart. We don't know the mind. We don't know the heart of another. We can make guesses. We can make educated guesses. We can probably be close, but you can't be in it. You can't actually know it, because if you could, you would be God. If you could make salvific claims that are impossible to make for human beings. Like all of those things, when you open empathy up, become completely open to them. or to a person, if they claim that empathy is a real and true thing, and they can actually be inside your internal representation of the world, now I can make all kinds of claims and feel justified in doing so. And so long as you are on my side and I make those claims, you're going to agree with me. And there starts the train that we were saying that kills critical thinking, starts movements that can't be stopped by people that are standing against it, because you're the bad guy the moment you stand against it. And so I can't see a good in that, in the sharing in part of it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. They are people who give into this and think they do have that ability. It is almost as if they're placing themselves in the shoes of God, right? Like they're trying to basically bring themselves to like another level of almost like humanity, where they're so in tune with the state of humanity that they can understand on a personal level exactly what this person's feeling, and they can read their hearts. Really, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. You're reading someone else's heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's craziness to me. And of course there's the whole, I think this is what was coming up during the debate, even when they were arguing with you after the fact. I think a lot of it was coming down to like some colloquial side-ish version, like this is what I think it means, and if we use it in general parlance, then it means this. And it's like, cool, but if we're going to go with the basis of the word and how it's used in general, then it's impossible. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah, well, that was kind of what I was discussing earlier. I do think that's the only route they can take, is to delude the word to something lower than what it was originally or even like currently being used as, in order to make it fit. But then once again, if you take that approach, you're just in the grounds of there's other words that describe that far better. Yeah.
Which is exactly what I was trying to get Teriak to see. Like, you're saying this thing is empathy, but you're describing sympathy plus some supernatural understanding. Like, make it make sense.
Yeah.
You're saying, I have sympathy for this person, and then you tried to switch up the order of it, like they understood before they felt. I'm like, how does that make sense? You didn't have a reason to seek to understand, but you just understood, and then you made... Sorry, camera. You had no reason to seek to understand, but you just understood, and then... Jeez, camera. Nope. What are you doing? There we go.
There we go.
But, like, the order's all out of whack. Either it's you inherently understand the emotions of all other people, or you had an emotional response and you sought to understand them. And it's like, you can't hammer that down. No matter who was arguing with us, they couldn't hammer down where that line was. And then that one guy kept coming in and saying, no, there's an empathetic response, not a sympathetic response. There's no sympathetic response. Yeah. Bullshit. The sympathetic response is literally fight, flight, freeze, run, right? So, like, that is your sympathetic nervous system, your sympathetic response. Empathetic has nothing to do with, like, how your nervous system reacts to a situation. And I was, like, trying to explain that there's a nervous system reaction before most things that spurs what comes next. And empathy is a thought thing inside your head, if it exists at all, because you're saying it's understanding. Understanding can't come from your sympathetic nervous system. The only thing that can come from there is your basic human level instinct type things. So explain to me how you have an empathy response before you ever have a sympathetic response. That sounds like the biggest Looney Tune bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, there was I don't know if you saw that Leaf guy. He came up in the panel, and he started off something along the lines of empathy has to do with the empathetic portions of the brain, and I cut him off. I was like, I don't grant you empathy. Like, you can't use a thing in question to describe the thing in question to prove it. Like, you need to prove it to me with some sort of logical framework.
Well, and that's one of the things I brought up too, is like, you can't coin a phrase in 1908 that is this new but pre-existing thing that human brains do that allow us to share emotions with other human beings, that's only ever been called sympathy or caring for people, and then map it onto the brain and tell us that this specific made up new thing that you made up is a region of the brain that does that thing. You also you coined the phrase, then you mapped a brain, and then you overlaid this thing and called a region of the brain that thing.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think so.
It's like, okay, well, what would have been called before the word was, coined? What part? I mean, if they mapped the brain before, what would they have called it? Like, just because you labeled this thing, I mean, okay, what are we doing here? Like, and that was one of the arguments too that I said, like, I look forward to everyone in the future who goes along with this nonsense when psychologists eventually map the furry gender version on the brain and where that's located. I look forward to everyone being on board and just like accepting it, because apparently just because they map it, that thing means it's true.
Well, it has to do with all of that, right? Because psychology has pulled the wool over everyone's eyes repeatedly, right? They go, oh, there's a region of the brain for this, and there's a region of the brain for that, and they're born like this, and they're born like that, and none of that's ever been proven. There's been guesses made and then publicized as if it was true, and then never proven. And you still hear people running around saying, well, there's a region in the brain that we're pretty sure has been mapped out to show if you are attracted to the same sex as you. No, there's not. There just isn't. But they keep saying it. It's still a thing. It's been said since I was growing up, and somehow it's still a thing in the popular zeitgeist of the world, but there's no proof of that.
Well, just said it exists, man. It exists. It exists because they said it exists. That's all they need.
It exists because they have empathy.
Right. Yeah. It exists. Yeah. Because they're empathetic to everyone's plight. So that's why it exists.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe empathy is self-faith. I have faith in myself.
Self-faith.
Like,
well, yeah, you would
if you're
have
going to put yourself in the position of God, you just believe that you are, and that's what your empathy is.
You would have to have faith in yourself reading someone else's emotional state accurately. So yeah, that tracks.
Don't ask me. I'm just a weird guy on the internet. I'm surprised nobody jumped up when I threw that link out. But that's
scared.
okay.
Scared, man. They're scared. They don't want to face. They don't want to lose the word, man. They need it. They don't want us to take it from them.
Yeah,
don't take my empathy away. It's all I have.
Yeah, it's like, why is it such a hot thing? Like a hot button issue. Like, you can't say you have sympathy for somebody because that's bad. But if you say you have empathy for them, it's inherently good somehow.
Yeah, from this whole thing, what I've realized is people have this almost negative connotation to the word sympathy. Like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. You're sympathetic? You garbage. You should be empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird, dude.
What? Yeah.
It's so weird.
I don't get that, but oh well. Well,
I would just challenge people to look at the two definitions and ask yourself which one makes sense.
Well, I like the as I said, there's tons of different versions of the definition for empathy, but I do like that if you go in the Webster version, it has the descriptors at the top, but then it has like a summary at the bottom where it just talks about sharing it basically gives you what you find on Google. So I think that block is a good, I guess you could say, definition to work off of when discussing with people, because they're more willing to go along with that. But the problem is, like I said, going back to all this other stuff we were talking about, it does have that key word there, sharing in the feelings of others.
Well,
How
and
do
you
you
could plug
share?
this. You could plug this in with like a large language model. As much as I don't like them sometimes, they're good for honing certain arguments and breaking down whether or not there's consistency. If you
Mhm.
take it and you just ask it, what is empathy? It's going to give you what we say empathy is, right? With the
Right.
that there's a definition and that it's widely accepted and that psychology says it's a thing and that people generally accept that it's true. But if you continue after that and keep breaking it down to whether or not this is true or false, right?
Mm.
True or false, people can share in their emotional states and then keep going down from there. Is it the exact same emotion or are they feeling individual emotions and then equating them as the same emotion?
Mm.
You know, and when you get to the baseline of all of it, it's broken. It isn't real. It can't be a thing. And so it's just
Yeah, I do.
what
I
it
actually do
is.
that a lot.
It's just human gobbledygook. What it is it makes us feel good. It makes us feel good to think that other people can feel emotions with us at the same time, and also at the same time, the person who claims to have the sympathy or the empathy is also virtuous because of it. So there's this self-feeding dopamine loop of because I have empathy, I'm a good person, and then the person who's receiving it feels like they have somebody on their side, and
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know.
I actually do that quite often. I'll set up like either Chat GPT or something, and I'll argue with it. Like I'll give it a premise. You need to defend this. It's actually pretty good practice because all those language models, they do lean left, so it's even more of a challenge to like pin it down.
But if you can get them past the point where they're just drawing from articles and existing works, if you can take the existing works and continue to Socratically question it back down to the logic of the foundation or the baseline of what you're arguing, then it can't deny what is
right.
Because then you're literally getting to you're getting down to true false, right? At some point, it's all true false, and maybe it's not true false for the entirety of the argument. There could be like 25 true false questions at the baseline. But those are all going to continue to reduce down until you find out, is this claim overall true or overall false? And I don't know.
Yeah. A fun one to debate is evolution. Like to debate a large language model on evolution is pretty fun.
It is.
I think that's like whenever I flesh this one out, I think that might be the next thing I go into. I think that one's a fun one to debate.
The same kind of nearly religious zealotry to the defense of it. It's got more than this one does, I would say, in my estimation.
Oh, yeah.
And more
I think
anger
so,
and rage pinned to it as well. But it's a similar thing, isn't it? It's the same kind of feel.
Yeah. You're just asking questions to justify these, frameworks and logical trains of thought. Like how do we get, what is this? Why do you think this? But the evolution, they on that one, it is a very visceral reaction. Like, cause once again, it's so embedded in so many people where they just take it as a matter of fact. They just assume it's correct because enough people have written about it in books.
So I would agree with this statement, Red Door Woman. I think I've been saying it for a long time, and I've believed it for a very long time because it just doesn't actually.
I didn't know he said that's really interesting. He said, "Look, man, we got Charlie Kirk on our side, man. He even believed. He even knew what was up.
It's just
there you go.
It just, I don't know, man. It feels like, as much as it sounds really stupid, it just feels like a psyop, and not like a concerted effort by a secret group or anything. Just like it was useful to manipulate, and it just continues to propagate because it's useful.
Yeah. I would call it like propaganda. I think it falls more to the propaganda than a psyop, but I do get what you mean by that. It does have that vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, man, I don't know. I guess no one's going to come up and take down my argument. So
yeah, it's all good. I'm tired as shit anyway. I know you are too, probably. So
yeah, I've had a long day, but I really wanted to have a discussion, and thank you for having it. This has been great. Like I said, just chatting with you has strengthened it even more. So I got more ammo, and I think this is going to be great the next time I can. Maybe I will try to line up a debate. It'll probably be the first one that the poll makes me, they vote against me and I lose. But so be it. I don't care as long as I get the argument out there.
I had to get off right after I did the open panel part, but I never saw if there was a poll that night or not. And usually I think he does one, but I didn't see one, so I don't know.
I didn't see one either
or not.
I didn't see one, but to be fair, I was too busy fighting 6 people. So
that's true. True.
So there might have been one. I don't remember seeing one. So
dude, it just got to the point where it got more and more and more heated, and I'm like, I'm actually tired, and it's hard to get a word in edgewise, so I'm just gonna fly. So
yeah, completely understandable. Yeah, completely understandable. Yeah, especially being so outnumbered. I was thinking like you were. I thought when they came up there, I thought it was going to be like, a handful of people an hour, some sort of divide, but no, not at all.
The problem, I think part of the problem is when you look at the idea, like at a cursory glance, right? Not actually digging into it. If you look at it just as at a glance, empathy seems like it would be good. It would be helpful. It would be good for building community and all of these things. But honestly, if you're going to say that, then it's like the epitome of collectivism. It's the epitome of socialism or communism, because then you have this bonding agent that is this thing that everybody has to go along with. And so, yes, as a Christian, you could look at that and be like, yeah, well, obviously we should care about people, but that's not what the statement is, right? If the statement was caring for other people has no part in building a society, I would completely disagree. But that's not what the statement is. The shared emotional connection, that thing right there, is like the way to force people to communalize. Like, one of us, like literally, it's, to me, it's like the building blocks of the conformity, fit in, be a part of the greater thing. Like, it's the Borg, man.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if there's really any other term or framework like empathy in today's day and age that kind of seeks to unify like everyone, like on like, like especially on the left, to where it's like this high standard of moral grandstanding thing, right? Because you have all these different things that pop up, BLM and all this other stuff, all these other different movements and things, right? Not everyone tends to be on board with that, but I can't think of anyone that would be like left leaning that would say empathy is bad, right? Or they don't like empathy, right? It's like this, it does, to your point, it does seem like this overall congealing movement of sorts to say, oh, if you're an empathetic person, then you're a good person. If you're not, then you're probably a right-wing crazy person, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's exactly what would happen. That's exactly where it would go. It would go, because you're right-leaning, because you're Christian, you don't believe that you should care about other people, which is so ridiculous of a claim in the first place. Like, love my neighbor as myself is something I actually totally believe and should be held to. And that doesn't mean I need to be in their emotional state. In fact, I will do better helping them if I'm not in the emotions they're in, because I'll make better judgments, better choices, because I'm not depressed because they're depressed. I'm not angry because they're angry. I'm not sad because they're sad. I'm clear-eyed from the outside going, this is a really sucky situation. What can we do? And help people work through it rather than be stuck in it with them. In some
That's a solid point. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that is a solid point. Yeah, because when you have a crisis, you don't want the guy that is feeling the same emotional panic that everyone else is. You want the guy that's calm, cool, and collected to make a decision to get you out of that situation.
Yep.
And then, so that is a weird contradiction, right? It's like, oh, the guy helping would be good, but then you in the same turn, you would almost have to demonize him for not being empathetic.
You know why? Because it's feminine.
It is feminine, isn't
because
it?
you
Yeah,
don't want
it
to
is very
fix the
feminine.
thing. You just want to be in it with them. You just want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to hear me. I just
Mm.
want you to feel it with me. No offense, just the way it feels to me. Like it's this weird communalism. That's what it is. It's a weird thing, dude. Well, I suppose this was actually pretty productive and quite a bit of fun.
It was. Yeah, it was great.
I really like conversations like this because I think when people, other than thought, right? Like, because you and I could sit by ourselves and think through something, but the moment you
Right.
start actually discussing, it like opens this gate where it allows the ideas to fully flesh out because like your point comes out, then mine, and it's like, oh wait, I didn't think of this, and then it like expands the ideas to a greater degree than you could have done, and you also, as you explore what your pre-existing idea of it is, more comes out of you than you've usually thought through deeply in your own head because now it's actually out there. And so you're freed to actually go down lines further than you would in your own mind, which I think is really cool when you have conversation.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, just I spent a good bit of time like rolling this over my head and arguing with LLMs with it, and just making notes. But just in the short time we've discussed this, I mean, I've got like 6 different things that I've written down of like argumentation lines to run. So it's been great.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, and I look forward to your next debate. And I hope you get well soon.
Thank you.
And and I also look forward to the whole that stream, the thing you were talking about. That I'm gonna try to tune in for that next time I see it.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to try to do some guests here and there for different topics. So if people want to like pick something that they think that modern day men need to embrace for our society to improve, they can let me know, and we can work on an episode to go through that topic together. Like, and I mean like
Okay.
honor, commitments, like just all the different things you can think of that are not just, but mostly the biblical principles that you need to be an upright man in the world today, and then to move forward into building family and progressing us towards a more Christ-centered society.
Like it. I might have I might have a 1 or 2 things we can discuss. I'll shoot you a message on that. We can maybe We'll see. But awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me up. Everybody out there. Catch you later.
Thank you, Mo.
And God bless.
God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a wonderful evening.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a lot of fun. That was a pretty cool conversation. Got to really move through that topic a bit. I know that there's obviously the other side of that argument, which we saw in my debate with Teriak, and then also in the after panel when it was, like Mo said, 6 versus 2 and then 6 versus 1 when I left. But I'm sure that this topic will continue to come up because it's kind of a hot button issue right now. And like I said, I would encourage people to listen to the argument rather than attribute the thing to the person. Like I said before, we've all heard Amit make comments about like bringing up an argument. I have this argument. The argument is that we should enforce marriage. People are like, what do you mean enforce marriage? And he's like, if somebody leaves a marriage without justification, that they should be jailed or held legally liable. And the immediate response, rather than saying, oh, that's an argument, I'm going to contend with the point of the argument, the logical consistency of the argument, they attack his character. And so I would, I'm not saying that any of you do this, but I'm saying I would encourage everybody to try to start seeing it outside of the people and look at the argument itself. Because if you can do that, it will make you a more effective communicator in general. You will be more capable of not misattributing things or assuming things. So, yes. I suppose on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take off for the evening. God bless you. Thank you for being here with me. Tomorrow is VK, so I will try to be there for that. Make sure you keep your eyes out. And hopefully my body is cooperating enough that I can come back to doing several days a week. So after today, I will do my best to get back on schedule and be here in the evenings for you guys once again. So thank you very much for being here. God bless you all. Have yourselves a good night. Oh wait, before I do that, I should probably look at who is streaming so I can decide if I'm rating somebody. To chat, is there anybody out there that you can see is on that is worthy of receiving a raid? Let's see. We'll see who's on. Lives. You know what? Probably just gonna do this. Okay, there. We'll do that. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, God bless you. Thank you so much. Oh, is it? Let me look. Come on, computer. Let's see. That's being weird. Okay. We'll see where it lets me send you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I know. Boring waiting for this piece. Customize. Add. Paste. Yes, no, maybe so. That won't pop up. What is that about? Okay, I'm just going to go with that then, because the other ones won't show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Come watch me debate on VK. If I can get feeling better, I will go in and shred it up tomorrow. Hopefully I win. Look, it's fun if you if you just compete, but it's even more fun if you win. What are you doing, Emmett? I'm just ending. What are you doing? Have a good night, Gorilla Biscuits. Thank you so much. Testing my empathy. Yeah, right. You don't even believe in empathy. Emmett. Emmett. Nope, didn't work. Are you streaming, Emmett, or are you staying off tonight? Mm-hmm. I was just about to hit the end stream, but what's up, Gothmat?
What's up? I'm not streaming. Can you hear me? Yeah, you
Yeah.
should be able to.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. What are you up to?
Nothing. Just got here. I told you. Just got here.
You're grounded.
I am grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're the one talking about empathy.
I'm talking about the falsehood, also known as empathy.
Are you empathetic? What do you mean the falsehood? Are you not empathetic?
No, I'm not at all
That-
empathetic. I can be sympathetic, but I cannot be empathetic.
Yeah, I mean, I had that debate with Trench yesterday.
You what?
I had that debate with Trench yesterday. He was talking about being empathetic or something. Whoa. Well,
what?
Oh, I was I'm using Premiere right now, and it started putting noises into my headset all of a sudden.
Jeez.
Whoa. Yeah, I was just I was just saying hi, and then you're like, I'm leaving, and I'm like, okay, well,
Well,
you're leaving. You're leaving until tomorrow. It's like, oh well, I guess I guess I have to say.
Oh well.
I guess I have to.
You have to say what?
Did you? Goodbye. Fight me, Abe. Let's go to Yellowstone.
You know, one of these days I'm gonna take you up on it.
I'll meet you in Yellowstone.
If that happens, you know, this is what would happen. If Emma and I met up to have a fight in Yellowstone, there would be like an alignment of all the stars, and the mega volcano would go off, and Emma and I would be fighting in the midst of a giant volcanic eruption.
I'm sorry. I thought that's what you did on the internet. Whenever you don't have anything to say, you say "fight me." It's
what does that even? What does that even mean, Nizzler? What does that mean?
Abe is a Nor.
I don't know what that means.
Let's go to the.
What does Enor mean?
What? What is a Nor? My dog just decided that the Live Binder is a major character in the World of Warcraft universe.
I'm incapable of understanding what a fight is like.
Member serving as a patron of all life, nature, and healing. You are the Titan patron of life, nature, and healing. Apparently.
I promise you I'm capable of understanding what a fight is like.
Abe is incapable of understanding what a fight is like.
People are hilarious, man. People are hilarious. Oh, there's empathy for you. It's obvious Snizzler has it.
Did you see my 2 videos from yesterday?
Wait, say that again?
Did you see my videos? Well, I made 2 shorts and I made a video. Did you see the video?
What's the video?
It's so it's a stupid thing.
I've watched some of your stuff over the last few days, but not all of it. So
Marte decided to start his own supposed news network.
Oh.
And he sent me a message, and in the message he's like, I hope you can make space for both of us. And I said, never, prepare for the beef. And at the same time, he sent a video. I was joking, but he made a video, and the first thing it says is, do not confuse it with a PNN. So I made he got it wrong. By the way, he got everything wrong in the fucking I still think he got everything wrong. So I made a video debunking the myths and debunking the problems. And he's going insane. He's like making AI headlines of of bullshit being said about me. It's super annoying. I'm starting to think it was a mistake to start fighting a melaninated person in this regard.
All I can say is, if you're in a glass house, you probably shouldn't throw rocks.
I don't want to go there.
If somebody's I'm saying if somebody's been attacked, if you've been attacked repeatedly for the last couple months, you probably shouldn't start new fights with other people because it's probably not going to be better.
Now, I'm just memeing it. I'm not being serious about it.
Of course,
it's just a meme.
It's for fun.
But it's annoying. But the things he's putting out as AI slop is very annoying.
It's silly.
Who's doing this? It's Marte. It's
so,
fun.
Are you not streaming tonight then at all?
I'm not streaming tonight. I don't think I am.
Okay.
I'm not. I'll tell you in the background, but
okay.
Shit happens, and I'm not Uber.
That's fair.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
I was going to do early stream, and then I started like having in real life debate about metaphysics. I could it's just the the scientific method. It's just an ease. It's you're presupposing all of this. And then the funny part was, you think you can know metaphysics? And I'm like, yes, I know I can know metaphysics. How do you know that? Well, 2 + 2 = 4. But it's physical. Nope. I don't know. It's conceptual. So
that's craziness.
Yeah. Well, he probably never had this kind of discussions before. Like we've been having how long? At least a year, maybe a year and a half of pure philosophical discussions about metaphysics, which most people never have had. It's yeah.
True.
So empathy is not fake. Empathy is super fake in game. Okay, let me explain to because I heard a little bit about what you said, but in order to be able to, and I don't care what the redefinitions have to be. The only reason why they use it against people is because they are saying it's complete manipulation. They're just trying to manipulate you, and the way that they're doing it is they're trying to make you take the position of the other person, and then they bash you onto the head because they're supposed to be sad or whatever. And that is not the way that you do things. The way that you teach kids, for example, if they fall into their knees, you're not empathic. You're not trying to put yourself into the mind state of a kid that just scrape his knee. You understand that they might be in pain, and you act in accordance. So if it's something serious, you will go ahead and treat the wound. If it's not something serious, you might be like, "Hey, just stand up."
Snizzler,
Papa.
I don't think this is the W you think it is.
I don't know.
Because I've been in a fight, I know what a fight is. That's not empathy.
I don't know. I don't know if you ever had like little kids. I know you do, Abe. So I'm pretty sure that there was a point where they just fall down and you were like, "Hey, Opa, come on up."
Mhm.
And they might be crying and bullshit, and you're like, "Doesn't matter, up."
You don't play it up. You never play it up. But regardless, I've never felt what somebody else was feeling in a fight.
Well, yeah, no.
I could say I've had similar feelings, maybe, but I can't know
Yeah.
that because I'm not in their brain. I'm not in their emotional. I'm not in their nervous system.
The funny part is they say that, and just as you're hitting your opponent in the ground, they're like, "Why are you not empathetic?" It's like, well,
Mhm.
that would be me putting myself in their state as I hit them. So
Mhm.
I would still have to disregard it. I don't give a shit
It's
as I
just-
do it anyway.
It's just that is the way that people keep trying to explain it, is like, because you've done something and you felt a way, then you know exactly how other people feel in that same kind of scenario. And so because of that, you're sharing their emotions with them. And it's like, no, I'm
No,
not
you're
sharing
their emotions.
emotions. I have had similar emotions. No, I'm going by what people keep defining it as and what the definition of it is. It is, and by the way, Snizzler was coined in 1908 by somebody who was projecting themselves into artwork, and that's what empathy was. And then it was used from there on forward to say that people could feel the inner workings of other people's emotions. And then from there, it went to utilizing it as a thing to force people to follow movements because of empathy. Because you have to be in their shoes. You have to feel it as if you were them. You have to share in the experience. You have to share the feelings. You don't share feelings. You don't share emotions. You share similar equivalencies of emotions. You cannot actually share the emotions of another human being because you're not linked. Your mind isn't connected to their mind. You don't even know what their internal model is like. You don't have their cognitive filters. You don't have anything. Unless you are the same person as that person, you're not feeling and sharing what they're feeling.
You don't have access to the mind state. That's pretty much what it means. You have no way to share sharing mind state.
I'm saying it says sharing emotional state. It says to share and understand. You can't share emotions and understand because you're not in them. You literally cannot. It is physically impossible to share the same emotion. You can have an emotion and they can have an emotion and they can be similar. They cannot be the same emotion, and thus it's not sharing the emotion. That is a way to push people into some weird virtue. Because you're empathetic, you have virtue, and that's exactly how empathy is used in today's ecosystem. If you're empathetic, you have virtue. If you're not empathetic, you're a bad person. That's exactly how it's used.
Which makes no sense because nobody cares. Can you share an emotion after 9/11?
You can share a sentiment, but you can't share
What?
the exact same emotion. I'm not in another person sharing their emotion. I can be angry and they can be angry, but it's our own anger. I don't have somebody else's anger. I have my anger. They have their
Can
anger.
you share emotion after something tragic happens? share.
Can you-
It depends on what you mean by share, because
Can you be in
you
the
can
mind of another
say-
person?
Well,
Can you be
Is
in the
it-
mind of another person? That's my
it's like
question. to you.
we can share grief if we have a person, but I'm not feeling what the other person.
That's
is
why I said
feeling.
you can share a sentiment, but you can't
I am-
share the emotional
but-
state.
It's like we both can have grief, but I'm not
Right.
feeling your grief. And you're
Exactly.
not feeling my grief. I have my grief, and you have your
Right.
grief.
Right.
Okay, and we're like.
And
we-
have
we
you ever
that
noticed when they ask people how these emotions feel, there's a wide array. Like people feel, for instance, anxiety. People feel anxiety a myriad of ways, tons of different ways, and different people feel it differently. Can you tell me that those people are all feeling the same thing when they're feeling it completely differently in their body, in their nervous system?
Even the test, because Trench says about it, brings up the test, right? The test in and of itself that he was bringing up, it presupposes that that the state of mind that they are describing mirrors the state of mind of the person that is trying to get.
Yeah, it acts
that's
like
trying to share it.
right. It acts like there's no cognitive filters. There's no life experiences, no bias, no pre-existing stressors. It acts like it's a baseline thing, and everybody's the same, which is an impossibility. We're not the same. We've had completely different life experiences. Things mean different things to us because of our representational models. Our perspectives and our perception is different than each other person. You cannot, in fact, feel what they're feeling. You can feel an approximation. You can think you're feeling the same thing. It is not the same thing.
Yeah. I wonder if Snizzler is like feeling what you feel, Abe. No, I don't think he's being very empathetic.
No, actually, nobody can feel what I feel. Damn it.
Yeah, I just read Cat's comment, and that makes sense. He's not being very empathetic.
Because I don't have feelings. You're just silent, completely silent after that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yeah, probably true.
It is what it is. My dog is like, you're not very empathetic with me. I was downstairs for a while, and now the moment I sit on my PC, it's like, I want to go out. You're gonna have to wait for just a minute, okay?
Being wrong makes him uncomfortable. I would have
No,
to first perceive that I'm wrong, right? And that's
Wait.
because I have a perception.
No. You shouldn't perceive that you're wrong. You should perceive that the other person feels that they're wrong in order for be able to get into their state minds that
That's
you can
true.
feel the
That's
empathetic
true.
synapses
Oh, I see what's
of
happening.
being wrong.
So Snizzler
see?
thinks if he can be wrong enough, that somehow his empathy will make me feel like I'm wrong.
Yes. It's not about you, Abe.
Oh my gosh. No, I think that
Oh, wait,
in actual-
that makes sense. I get now. You get it now, right? You got it. You tell me you
Mhm.
got it. Yeah.
Mhm.
This is about you. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only way you can feel another person is if if that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Notice Abe does. Why don't you want to answer, Abe?
Answer what? What do you What is the question? What is the question? People like you like to dance, Snizzler. Answer the question.
Why don't you want to answer, Abe? I just remembered that the other day.
Does the
and I
meaning
made it-
of a
I made it
word
to
change
try-
over time? So here's the thing that's really funny about that, Snizzler. It hasn't changed a bunch over time. It still basically reads exactly the way it always has. And it started out as junk, and it's still junk.
Also, the fact that it changes over time doesn't mean it has nothing to do with the meaning of it. There is a specific meaning we are referring to, which is a state mind. Well, I'm sorry that I'm saying state mind so much. I just had this discussion with Trench yesterday for like 2 hours, and we ended up with that definition. But at the end of the day, it refers to getting into the other person's state of mind and feeling what they're feeling, and the whole point of it is being done as a shame mechanism. So we already defined what it is. You don't have to tell me what is if the definition has changed over time. It has nothing to do with anything.
Let me ask you. That's not empathy. That's still not empathy. What you're saying is still not empathy. Knowing what it was like for yourself on the first day of school isn't knowing what it's like for them internally on their first day of school. Again, you can make some kind of semblance, but you don't actually know. And in order to actually know, share, and understand, it would have to be the same. Share. The word is share, Snizzler. Do you share thoughts? Can you share thoughts inside of somebody else's head at the same time? Can you share biochemistry, brain chemistry at the same time? I never claimed it was mind reading. You are the one who keeps making weird claims, not me. You're making those, not me. I've never said it was mind reading. I'm saying you can't share.
Is not telepathy.
You can't share emotions. You can't share thoughts. Empathy says that you are sharing in the emotions of another. Sharing in it and understanding it. You can't share in and understand the inner workings of another human being absent being the other human being. You can only make a false equivalency in your own head of what you think it is or what you feel it is. It is not the same as actually feeling what they are feeling. This is a game to make you believe you can.
What reverse projection?
Humans are a lot easier to control when you use things like empathy, and if you're not empathetic to the things that you're supposed to be, you're cast out, you're ostracized from the community because you aren't empathetic. And you could say that that isn't the case, but you look at the world and you can see it clearly is. That it's held as a moral virtue by most of the people. It is used to corral people into a very specific set of beliefs, ideas. When all the stuff that's happened over the last decade have happened, when BLM was happening, people had to put flags in their window because they had to have empathy for them. It was a moral virtue to stand with the people of a group. And if you didn't, you were heralded as the bad guy. And it's happened repeatedly. I don't know how you couldn't see it. Oh, and by the way, if we're going to go there, we see the same thing in older cultures, like communist cultures and socialist cultures. You could look at like where PC came from, politically correct came from like the Asiatic region of the world a long time ago. And it was conscripted, and now it's used in the modern world, in the West, to, again, corral people into a very specific set of ideas and behaviors. Because if you're not politically correct, you're not accepted, and you are blackballed, and you're cut out of things. Same thing with empathy. If you're not empathetic to the things you should be empathetic to, according to who knows, then you're cut out of the in-group. You're not allowed to be around. You're unacceptable. It's treated as a moral virtue, even though it's a physical and metaphysical impossibility for humans to share in the emotional state of another human being. Again, you can have a cheap imitation or your perceived belief of what they're feeling. You cannot actually share it. Sorry, just the way it is.
I wonder
And
why he called him Sam Schnitzler.
I don't know. Who
It's a
knows?
weird name to have.
Yeah. Is it though?
It is kind of weird. It is weird.
It's somebody being funny.
Yeah, I know.
So funny. Probably absent a body, not. I don't know.
Say,
I don't think so, because I think only God knows the mind and heart of man. As far as I know, I'm not going to make an exclusive claim, but I don't know that even we will know the hearts or minds of others after death. I haven't seen that somewhere. So like I said, I don't know though. I can't even make that kind of judgment call. I would believe not, but
okay, I need to take my dog outside. It's really
all right,
being
brother man.
annoying.
I'm gonna hop off as well.
Yeah, I know you're gonna hop off.
God bless you.
We're really gone for a little while.
Be good.
Yeah, thank you for having me on as always.
Of course. Fun times.
You're going. So you're playing tomorrow. You're going to VK tomorrow.
Probably.
What
Most
happened?
likely.
Okay. Okay. I'll be seeing you. Take good care.
You take good care. You're grounded.
You're grounded.
Am I though?
Yeah, you only need to stream more. See you later.
True. See you later. All right, chat. God bless you all. I don't know. I don't know, Sweater. I don't know what is. When it comes to like after life, I don't know what the metaphysic possibilities would be. And I don't think that any living man could clearly dictate what comes after, as far as like what we can and cannot know, whether or not our condition changes to being capable of knowing the mind's thoughts, heart of another. I would say if I was looking just biblically, I wouldn't expect that that's the case. I would still believe that it's between the man and God, Christ, right? And so I don't think that it would be the case that even a saint would know the heart of or the mind of the man, but I could be wrong. I don't know where the lines reside in the spirit or the soul for those types of things. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you all. I'm going to take off. I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, Sweater, I'm not saying all things can't be done through God. I'm saying I don't know if God would allow that to happen. I don't know where the boundary is. I don't have a reason to believe that after death you would be privy to the thoughts or hearts of people, or the saints would be privy to the thoughts and hearts of people. However, I don't think that that solves for the physical realm of human beings, apart from God gifting somebody with that kind of insight uniquely. Because I don't think every human being has the ability to reside within the emotional states of other people. So that would be my statement to that. But I'm tired, and I'm sure that my brain isn't working at full capacity. And possibly I just sound like I'm an idiot. So, I don't know. Okay, but for real, I'm going to take off. God bless you all. Have fun wherever you end up on this YouTube highway byway. See you tomorrow. Boom. Boom. God bless you too, Gorilla Biscuits. God bless you, Sweater. God bless you, Scott. God bless you all. Have yourselves a wonderful night. We'll see you on the other side.